Hello and welcome to my first build of 2021. And yeah, it's nearly the middle of February. It's been a long time. Unfortunately, due to the Christmas period and a bout of really cold weather, I haven't been able to get down here that often. The times I have come down here, I've had other projects to do. One of the projects was to replace my spray booth, because the old one was showing signs of it sort of falling apart. So I've spent time making a new one of those. I've made a sprue rack as well, which is something I've came across on the internet, which I thought was a good idea. So that was something else I've done. I've done a video regarding the digital readout on my lathe, so that kept me busy for a couple of days. And I've only just got around, in the last couple of weeks, to start a new kit. Now I've decided to buy something different this time in the way of manufacturers. I bought a HobbyBoss kit, and I've never built a HobbyBoss kit before. I've sort of heard good and bad about them, so I'm interested to know how it goes together. It was a fairly cheap kit because I wanted to get back into the swing of things, because I've been away from it for so long. And I've got a couple of kits here that are 50% completed, and I could do with some sort of impetus to get back into them to finish them. So I thought I'd started off with a new kit. I should probably set my camera up now, and we'll take a gander at what's in the box, and explain to you what I plan to do with it. And oh yeah, the other thing I need to tell you, probably those of you that have seen that video of me digital readout, you probably noticed that the actual audio and visual footage has improved, and that's because I've changed my camera. I was noticing my older camera, there was a problem with it. The quality of the actual image, particularly in the center of the screen, was going all blurry. So I'm under the assumption that the sensor's on its way out. So I've ended up buying a new camera. So hopefully the footage and the audio will improve. I still haven't got a mic for it, because to be honest, I resent having to pay 60 quid to buy a microphone adapter for a GoPro camera. You just can't buy any adapter to plug into it. There's plenty on eBay that say they can, but they don't work, unfortunately. And I balk at having to spend 60 quid to plug a microphone into a camera. So I'm hoping that I won't need one with this new camera. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'll get my camera set up, and we'll take a gander at this kit. So I'll see you in a minute. Right, so what we have here is a ME262 A-2a. This is 1/48 scale, and it's made by HobbyBoss. Now, I've only cut the actual seals on this box. I haven't actually taken the lid off yet, so it's all new to me, this. Now, obviously we've got instructions here. I'll be interested to know how this pans out, because like I said in the earlier clip, I've never built a HobbyBoss kit. Let's have a look, see what sort of yeah, very sharply printed, I'll give it that. Yeah, that's just basically showing the parts going together. There's nothing here I can see so far about paint codes. So here we go, a coloured paint chart. That's quite nice, I like that. Oh, you got the Vallejo references here, look. That's handy to have. How many schemes have we got? We've got another scheme there we can have. Again, got me Vallejo, I don't have to cross-reference anything. Oh, I'm impressed with that. Yeah, very good. And what's this here? New items 2000 as well. I've yet to find out when this kit came on the market, but it could well be that this came on the market in 2015, or it could be a slightly earlier kit. It's just a bit of advertising bump. So now we come to the sprues, and they are in separate bags like Tamiya. That's another nice touch. Us modelers don't like sprues all chucked in one bag. So we've got, what have we got there? There's a clear sprue in there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh that's 7, 8, 9. Yeah, there's 10 sprues in there. That's a bit more comprehensive than I thought it was going to be. And here we have the decals. I ain't going to take them out the bag in case they get damaged, but yeah, let's see how well they go on. Some manufacturers' decals aren't all that clever, but that there, there's a possibility it should be alright. Yeah, I mean, general look in here, I can't see any flash on here, but the proof of the pudding is putting it together, folks, really. It's all very well saying, oh, this looks like a nice kit, but has it been engineered properly to go together without too much of thought process? Right, so there we go. That's what was in the box. So I'm going to go off camera now, and I shall build the first sub-assembly, and then I'll be back with it to explain to you how it went together, probably followed by some clips of the actual sub-assembly parts being sprayed. So I'll see you in the next clip. Right, where we go, folks. Now I'll be talking in the past tense here because these sub-assemblies I'm about to show you I've actually glued together. They've been primed and painted. So we'll start with this. This is the main cockpit area. This was a lovely sub-assembly to put together. I had to remove a bit of plastic when I located this console, because I found that these two halves here weren't quite meeting properly, and I had to just shave a little bit of plastic off for those two parts to sort of locate properly. But other than that, all the rest of it went together really well, and I've used super glue on all these parts because I find it's a lot quicker to assemble a cockpit with super glue. At the end of the day, it's going to have a canopy over it, and the likelihood of anybody breaking any of the parts is going to be pretty remote. Super glue, I do find that although it's a very quick glue, it can be very brittle. But that's what I've used on the cockpit area here. It's medium viscosity super glue, nothing special. So the next sub-assembly is this here. Now this was a bit more daunting, this, because I had to make some guns up, because this is the armament area of this fuselage. I had to make 4 guns up, and they were attached to the bottom plate here, and to ensure that these parts here were in the right angle, I had ended up having to use standard glue, unfortunately, on that rather than super glue, because I needed to sort of position these onto that actual base plate. What they suggested there is all right, but if you didn't glue these parts at the correct angle, when you go to fit it to this floor, they're not going to fit. So this was all assembled on the actual plate. This here, there are 2 guns that go above the lower 2. Those are attached with these brackets. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a problem with these. I tried getting this bulkhead to slide over the barrels of the guns, and I came across for the first time a bit of flash in the hose, and unfortunately I forced it a bit and one of the brackets broke. So I've removed both of them, but it hasn't stopped me from sort of gluing them in place, because they had a location point up against the bulkhead there. So unfortunately these brackets here are missing. We come down to here now. This is quite a clever thing this here, because this is an actual casting, and I'm under the impression that this here is to sort of balance the actual model when it's finished, because some models, if you build them with the undercarriage down, they can be tail heavy. So I'm under the assumption that they've introduced this cast plate here to sort of add some nose weight to the actual aircraft. Now that's a good idea. That I really like that, and that casting was lovely. You know, the finish on it. The gun area here had to be glued to that. I've just used super glue again. Plastic on metal's okay with super glue. And it all went together really well. Really impressed by it, actually, the detail and the quality of it. It's saying here to deal with the front wheel. I'm going to leave this off because there's a chance of that breaking. So as you can see, I haven't put any sort of pen strokes through these highlighted part numbers. So that's something I do, so that I'm aware that I've left parts off. And then I went on to this stage here, which is the left hand side of the fuselage. They had all these parts here that needed to be glued to the fuselage. As a general rule, I don't normally bother with these parts. I'm of the opinion that if you can't see it, what is the point of wasting glue and paint actually fitting them? But because I've had this bit of respite for the last few weeks, I've decided to go ahead and attach these. I haven't individually painted them because again, I think that's a waste of time if you can't see it. But I have made the effort where normally I would leave this off. Again, all this stuff just fitted lovely, and there's a lot of location holes in these plates, and there's hardly any flash on them whatsoever, and the parts just mate up to them. And nice little touches of different size pins, so you know the particular moldings you attach to that plate they can only go on one way. Little touches like that, really good. And this is the other half of the fuselage where I've added some more parts. Yeah, and all in all, this slot now is all ready to actually glue together with the two sub-assemblies that I've done. There's a clear part there. That is to be glued on the outside. Sometimes you get plain kits where the clear parts need to be glued from the inside of the fuselage. Luckily with this one, it's glued on the outside. I tend to leave clear parts off because it's something else that needs to be masked up when you spray it. So that will be glued on later on. Hence the pen stroke missing. They're missing on there, but actually I've done that part, so I need to put a pen stroke through that. So this is all ready now to be assembled, so that will be my next stage. So this is where I am with it. And as I say, I'm really impressed with the detail. I mean, look at the inside of that fuselage, the detail in that. It's just fantastic. And there's no flash on these fuselage pieces at all. All I've got to do is just trim the bits of plastic left behind from the sprue. Absolute fantastic bit of molding. Can't fault it. Here's the other half with the other pieces that I've glued on the tail there. You've got the window there I was talking to you about, and there is a part needed to be glued there. So that's all ready. And this is the gun area. I don't know how well you can see this. The two lower guns there with the support brackets are there, but like I say, the top ones, the brackets that should have come down here to meet, unfortunately I've had to do away with them. There's a couple of braces that had to be glued on there, but all in all, and oh yeah, this is the metal casting I was telling you about. That's all that there. Yeah, and it all fitted absolutely wonderful. Now I haven't gone to a great amount of detail with this because this is going to be hidden, but I have made the effort of priming it and spraying it the right internal color for the period of the aircraft. So that's that done, and this is the cockpit. And again, I've sort of blanket sprayed it with the interior color, and I've come along afterwards and done some hand painting. I'm not the best hand painter, and I can only do what I can really. I've just painted the seat on that, and those two console pieces there, and the gun and the panel there. So that's what I've done there. So that's it. Now I've got to glue this lot together, and while it's drying I tend to tape it up with a bit of masking tape, and I use my Revel glue for this, and I leave it overnight. Well, welcome back if you're still with us. Now, this has been glued and left overnight. Now, these two sub-assemblies, they had to be attached to the fuselage before I mated up the other half to it. And I'm really impressed by the fact that they have lugs on the side of these sub-assemblies that actually locate into these female slots. It's a very clever idea, one I've never come across before, because mainly cockpit sub-assemblies, when they get glued to a fuselage, there are location points, but they're only like guidelines really where it's supposed to sit. These have actually got lugs and sockets for them to actually fit. So I was confident when I glued both these to one half of the fuselage that the other half is going to meet up and be in alignment, and sure enough it was. Now, talking of alignment, this fuselage I just squeezed it together and it lined up absolutely perfect. In fact, a couple of the actual pins actually snapped into the holes. Whether they're supposed to do that, I don't know. But I was well impressed by the way this just went together. Really thought out and well engineered. Now, when I glue two halves of a fuselage together, I always tend to put a little bit more glue on the actual surfaces than normal. That allows me to next day sort of rub down the seams. And sometimes I cheat and I lay a bit of super glue in the seams if there's a bit of a gap there, just to try and do away with any filling. Now, with this going together absolutely perfect, I never had any trouble. I taped it up with a bit of masking tape, left it overnight, and what I've done is I've ran over the seams with a round file. I use a round file because there's less sort of area to remove any plastic, and I find it's ideal if you've got a plane where you've got a fillet running up to the tailplane. You've got like a curved profile. Using a flat file, it could you know, alter the profile of it. So I use a round file just to go over the glue, remove the glue, and basically that's all I've done. There was very little fettling to be done, and I was, like I say, impressed with that. So I went on to the next stage, which is the engine nacelles, and these were okay to put together. I did come across some flash. There was some flash around the inside of that particular molding and the one over here. Very little there. I just rubbed my finger over it, to be honest, and the flash came away. It's probably the second bit of flash I've come across on this kit, and it's to be honest, it's next to nothing. It's telling me to spray the inside of these. I'm not going to bother because you ain't going to be able to see this at all. So that's a waste of time. Well, to me it's a waste of time anyway, but this went together okay. Didn't go together as well as the fuselage, these two parts, but nonetheless it still went together, and I don't think I'm going to need any filler for it. So that was okay. I decided to go on and build the lower and the two upper wings. I had this assembly that I had to put together and glue there. All these parts I'm talking to you about at the moment have all been glued with my Revel. I haven't used any super glue on this. When I glue the main parts together, I tend to use the proper glue. So that's on my bench drying at the moment, and that's where we've gone so far. So here's the fuselage, all rubbed down, fettled, etc. And like I say, the fit was well, outstanding really. Couldn't fault it. So there ain't a lot to say about that particular bit of the build really. I can't think of anything else. No. The engine nacelles, these I've yet to fettle because they're still drying. There's a slight little bit of alignment which I need to rub down, and I do believe the end pieces have been super glued. That's why that powdery residue's there. It's because I've used an accelerator on it. But yeah, I'm just waiting for that to dry so I can sort of fettle that up. So that's okay. And the other one, you can see I've laid a load of super glue down the bottom there, which is got rid of a bit of a gap. Yeah, so that's that, and I've got the main wing here all clamped up. So it's a matter of waiting for this to dry, which isn't going to take a quick process to do. I need to leave this a good 3 or 4 hours before I go playing around with it. So I'm going to have a bit of a break now, and when I come back you'll probably see this wing attached to the plane and the engine nacelles, and also other bits and pieces. I've got the covers to go over here as well, because I want to get this sort of up to the stage where the undercarriage is missing and the clear canopy, so that I can blanket spray this and crack on with the paint job. So that's where I'll be next. So I'll see you in the next clip. Right, so I've glued the wing to the fuselage. Absolute perfect fit. In fact, it's the first time I've actually had to flex a wing to actually get it to fit on the fuselage. It's the tolerance is that tight on it, and once I've sort of just gently bent one wing down and mated it up, it just mated up really well, and absolutely perfect fit underneath. I haven't had to use any sort of filler on this. I did suffer a bit of shrinkage on this wing here. It's a little tiny pinhole. I'll show you in a minute. So it's just a little bit of filler there, but I'm well impressed by the way that went on. Really am. I've added this piece here because this is going to be sprayed along with the fuselage, so I've added that. I've added this top part of the cover here that goes over the armament, and I've done this cowling cover and the nose as well. Now, this is where I started to get a bit of a problem, because these panels here that cover the armament, they've got them here where you can leave them open, and I've decided to close them. Now, what I find with these parts here on kits is when they've introduced a part that can be left open, chances are if you want it closed, the fit ain't very good. And I noticed that I had a bit of a trouble with these two panels. They actually formed to the fuselage okay, but they were very gappy, and I've ended up having to use quite a lot of filler on those. So that's the first bit of sort of thought-provoking parts that I've had to deal with so far. It's a shame really, because up till then everything was perfect. What they could have done was offered a one-piece molding to go on top of that, but they haven't done that. So yeah, I had trouble with that. Engine nacelles have been glued to the wings again. Well, I'll say absolutely perfect. They're actually located okay, but there is a bit of a gap underneath the wing there, which I've actually filled. So they weren't perfect, but they just went on. I never had to fettle anything or remove any plastic. So that's done. The other things I've done the tailplane and the rudder. And what else have I done? Let's have a look here. All these undercarriage parts I've left off for the time being. Oh yes, the undercarriage doors, these bottom ones here, these panels here, these here actually fitted really well. I was expecting these to be a bit of a problem like the ones on top, but no. So that's where, oh yeah, I've done the door for the front nose wheel as well. And I think that's as far as I've gone now. Yeah, I haven't chosen the armament yet. So here we are. Now, as you can see, where I had the problem with these doors, you see the amount of filler I've had to use there. Basically all the way round. I've also had to sort of fettle this plastic because it was slightly proud, and I've had to do some work there. And it's the same the other side as well, although this one here fitted a lot better, but it still needed to be rubbed down because it was all uneven on that nose. But now I've smoothed it down. There's no ridge or anything on there now. It's nice and smooth. These two parts here glued on okay. I didn't have any trouble with it. There's that bit I've glued on the cockpit. I'm not going to bother stuffing any cotton wool in there to protect that, because I don't think it's going to be seen overspray. And the nacelles in that, I just had to sort of rub down the plastic here to feather it in. Didn't take a lot. So that's where we are with it. So I'm now ready to give it a coat of primer, but I'm going to give it a spray with my airbrush cleaner to get all the dust off and the grease, etc. before I do that, and then I'll just let it air dry, and then I'll be ready to give it a coat of primer. I've done underneath here, I don't know if you can see the cells here where I've laid in some filler there. Yeah, it's happened on there as well, bit of filler in there, nothing much. I mean, this here is was a bit gappy, but really I could remove a bit of that filler, but I've decided to leave it there. Yeah, so there we are. I'm going to set me spray booth up and give it a coat of primer, and I'll leave that overnight, and then tomorrow, if I'm up to it, I'll come down and spray the next colour, whatever that's going to be. So I'll see you then. Right, I'm going to deem this a success. Now, when you spray a model with a primer, it can highlight areas that still need a bit of filler. Now, thankfully, the places where I have used filler are okay. I don't need to do any more sort of fettling with that. I did come across a couple of small gaps running down the tail planes here, and I've actually filled those up with some filler. Now, I'm not going to blow that over with a primer. It ain't worth it. So all in all, that's come out okay. That I'm well chuffed, especially when I've done so much work on the nose. Now the next stage is to spray the underneath, and there's two colors going to go on top. Now the suggestions they put in the box, I'm not all that keen on. This here is okay, but you've got to be really good with an airbrush to do that, and I'm not. I'm pretty basic with my airbrushing skills, and this here I find just a bit vague, really. Nothing exciting. So these two schemes use three colors, which is what I'm going to use, but I'm going to go by the box art. Now we've got a light blue underneath, we've got a light green and a dark green. So that's what I intend to do this airframe. Now the wings will need masking off because German camouflage is done with a straight edge. It doesn't have a random profile like the British do. So that will be taped up, and I should be using a liquid masking agent to go around the cockpit here, so that this blends into the lighter green, and there's a bit of camouflage here needed, and perhaps a bit on the back here as well. I'm going to drop this down over these nacelles like they're showing here. Whether I'll spray the back of that black, I don't know yet. And the armament, I'm not too sure what colour that's going to be, because I haven't chosen my armament yet. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the box art because I quite like that. That's nice, that. So the three colours we need which were suggested, by the way, on this sheet, which I was quite impressed with when I first opened it up. But these numbers are relating to Vallejo. I'm afraid they're way out. They're all up in the 800 numbers. Yeah, I don't understand why they got these reference numbers here. Yeah, I don't know. But I've had to cross-reference those. And I've used this here, which is a leaflet that came with a set of paints specifically for German aircraft. And there's all the RLM numbers. So I've had to use this to sort of find the paints I need in my rack. And I've been successful. I've got all three of the colours required. And those are the underneath 257, which is an RLM 76. We got the light green, which is a 022 RLM 82, and then we've got the dark green, a 011 RLM 83. So my plan of action is, first I'm going to spray the underneath with the blue. I will then liquid mask the bottom part of the blue off with some Masco liquid masking agent, and then I will spray the upper half with the light green, and then I shall do all the masking of the upper wings and the liquid masking around the cockpit, so then I'll be able to spray the darker camouflage. So that's my plan of action. Right, I decided to crack on and get this build finished because I've had another bout of cold weather and it's not been all that inviting to come down here. So I've made a point of focusing on it and getting it finished. Now, I'm going to have a chat with you about my experience with this kit and a couple of problems that flagged up. The actual kit started off okay. I was quite impressed with the detail that was on the actual mouldings. I was well impressed by the way it went together until I had to do those front doors that was covering the gun armament. And that created a problem where they didn't fit properly and I had to add some filler. Now, it took me quite a while to fettle that nose to smooth it out because there was high spots as well. I wasn't too impressed with that, to be honest. I would have liked HobbyBoss to have actually offered a one-piece moulding. The mouldings that they supplied with the kit are showing it to be open, and I find that rather strange, really, because some people don't build these aircraft with the undercarriage down, and if the undercarriage is up, there's no way these doors would be open. So yeah, a bit disappointing there. Now then, the paint job didn't turn out as I wanted either, because I wanted to do a random sort of finish along the bottom edges here and around the fuselage. I was going to use my Humbrol Masco and I couldn't find it, so I've ended up having to sort of use masking tape, and where these should be sort of blended in with the blue, they're a sharp edge, and this up here I've used 3mm Tamiya tape, which you can actually conform to a curve, but that ain't ideal either. So bit of a problem there. I don't know where my Masco's gone. I don't recall ever using it all up and throwing it, but that didn't help matters either, really. Anyway, then we went on to the decals. Now the decals, I didn't rate the decals at all on this. They took their time removing themselves off the backing paper and they were very, very delicate. And one problem that flagged up was this particular decal here. Now if you remember at the beginning of the build, I was under the assumption that this cavity here that was left open was for a clear part. Now when I went to apply the decals, the actual area where it's supposed to sit wasn't showing a clear glass window, and it turns out that that should have been actually filled in with a normal plastic part, which is what I've ended up doing. I found it on a sprue and I've cut it out, and I managed to remove a lot of the paint where it had to sit, and it actually glued to the fuselage okay, and I had to obviously spray it as well before I glued it. So that's my fault, that assumptions. I thought that was going to be a clear part and it turned out it wasn't. The other thing is that the actual decal that went on here was in two parts. It was split. It had the three corners here, and this corner here was separate, and it split when I removed it off the backing paper. And also after I'd actually applied the decal, I got some light powdery residue from the super glue that I used to glue that panel in, which is annoying because if it was there before the decal was put on, I'd have obviously just wiped it off, but it's underneath the actual decal now. Can't do a lot about it. Yeah, the other thing was I've just glued the canopy, and now the canopy fit is quite good. The three parts mate up really nice, but I found that this center canopy was narrower than the actual fuselage, and I've just had to lightly get a small brush and just paint in down the bottom there, because it was obviously showing the top part of the fuselage that hadn't been painted. So the actual fit of that canopy wasn't great, but other than that I've managed to glue it okay. Going back to the cast piece that was on the front nose to counteract the it being tail heavy, it's working, but it doesn't take a lot for it to fall back. So yeah, it could have done with a bit more weight in the front. Other than that, I think I've quite enjoyed this kit. It's been quite good. Yeah, it's just a bit disappointing that when I started this kit, the detail on it was great, the fit was great, and then all of a sudden it started to go downhill. If it wasn't for the decals and that molding, I would have probably given this about a 9 out of 10. Anything else I can think of about this? Not really, no. I think that was the only problems I had, which took the shine off the build. Yeah, I've just had to crack on with it because, like I say, the cold weather snap has appeared again. So I'm hoping to get this video produced and up on YouTube as soon as possible. So anyway, thanks for watching, and hopefully I will have a few more kits in the future. I've got I've got 5 kits in my stash, 2 that are 50% completed and 3 that I've yet to start. So I've got plenty of things to make and to produce videos for, so they will be forthcoming. Just a little nod to me new subscribers. I've garnered some more, which is great, and thanks for being patient with me, because I'm not that prolific on here at the best of times, but you know, what with this weather we've been having, it just hasn't been very nice to come down here. Right, so stay safe out there, and hopefully I'll see you soon. So bye now.